Alright guys, so here's current update of what's happening. It's the next day obviously. I went through the whole car last night after I stopped recording and stripped the front end down and then dove into some stuff and found some stuff that's kind of a bummer, but it's all fixable. I can do it. For one, here's some rust in the back that I may have mentioned previously in the video.
Do you have enough light?
Huh?
Do you have enough light?
Yeah, with the door open, it's decent right here. I might need some light for showing in here. So that's on that side. And then on this side, yeah, that's a thing. That side's not as bad on the inside. It's a little bit down at the bottom, but then there's that, which is a bummer. That, a little bit right there. That's not too bad. The strut towers in the bay are clean though. Those are pretty freaking clean. And then we got that, which is a bummer. That in there, which is a bummer. That down there. That down there. And then this is that spot on the inside that I was talking about right there. Oh yeah, and it is pretty rotted out up there. So, I'm good on the light now. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So, that all needs to be replaced. So, basically, this car is now gonna become a donor because my strut towers are fine. Can you guys hear a little bit of echo in here? It sounds pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna be cutting out all this haggardness. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna cut all this out and put it in the other car, I guess. Hopefully it lines up good. I don't know. I'm gonna try and get some of that out while I still have daylight, so if I feel like it, I can stay up real late tonight and do a bunch of work. So I guess I'm gonna start cutting stuff. And I gotta pull all the suspension on the rear end, put that up on bricks, because I want the coilovers or the ghetto coils out of the back and all that stuff. So I'm gonna rip some stuff apart. So sketchy. I gotta check the other side, make sure the block is there and all that. Make sure it's not sliding on the jack stand. Should be fine. Dude, this thing's like monster truck right now. It's pretty high. Whoa. Now that's sketchy.
Crap, this tripod is freezing.
That's sketchy.
Super low in the front.
I knew it, dude. Tipping the fucking jack stand over.
Creeping again.
A little bit.
There we go.
It was only like a little bit sketchy. So I should be able to get all the stuff out of the back.
Hey, you can almost make a dually setup back here.
Alright, so now basically I just got to take the 2 bolts in there off, the 1 bolt here, and the 3 bolts for the strut, and then this whole thing will drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides, and then also I got to take the e-brake cable off from the lever. But I'm going to do that, and then I guess I'll be back in a little bit doing that. Alright, so I've been cranking out a ton of work on this thing past like hour or two, and getting ready to pull it over the pit and put it up on some cinder blocks and pull the wheels back off. I cut the rest of the lugs and got the other front wheel off, or at least like I took all the lugs off, put my own lugs on so I can get them off easily. So that wheel's good to go. So yeah, I'm getting ready to pull it over the pit, jack it up, put it on some bricks, and then pop the axles out, and then disconnect the motor mounts and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I just figured now would be a good time to kind of go over the car a bit. I can't remember what I've gone over already. I know I pointed out all the rust and stuff like that, but basically just go over like where I'm at up to this point. So yeah, you got the engine harness, like the main engine harness, all out and tucked up there. The alternator disconnected. I disconnected and drained the radiator. I took out the battery tray and disconnected that stuff for the charcoal canister. That's going to get removed. Disconnected the engine harness number 2, this little guy. And yeah, now basically I just got, like I said, go underneath. First I'm going to pop the axles out, and then I'm going to put the wheels back on and set it back down on the ground, and then line it up with the motor hoist there, engine hoist, whatever, and then I'll pull the motor out. Yeah, so oh yeah, a few other things that I found out. This wheel, as you could see, you might be able to see that on camera, I don't know. But it has like a lot of positive camber. I don't know why, other than I know the wheel bearing's blown, but I don't know that it would cause that much of the positive camber. Maybe just whoever had it off last, or apart last or something, didn't put it back together right. And then this side has a destroyed ball joint. Like, there's so much play in it, it's ridiculous. For a split second I thought I had a bad steering rack, and I was like, oh no, but it's just the ball joint. The ball joint jiggles back and forth, so I'm gonna have to swap my I'm probably just gonna put the extended front control arms on there. I wasn't planning on it, but I don't want to have to go rent the tool to get the ball joints out, and I don't want to risk messing them up trying to just whale them with a hammer. So I'll probably just put the extended front lower control arms on there. Those are only extended like 3/4 of an inch, so it didn't really give it that much camber. I could get it out for the most part with just pulling on the strut, drilling the top hole a little bit so you can get a little bit more degrees of camber out of it. Another thing I did before I came inside working on the other car was I got both rear knuckles with the arms and the lateral arms and all that all off in one piece, so I'm not going to use the extended rear arms because those are extended like a little over an inch, and it just gave it way too much camber for what I'm going for now in the rear. But I do want all the polyurethane bushings in there, so I'm going to pop the bushings out of those arms, put them in the ones on this car, and then probably just use, instead of taking the bushings out and replacing them, I'll probably just use those arms. And maybe use my drum brake setup. And like the knuckle and everything like that, just so that it's a little bit less that I have to pull off, you know what I mean? I can just drop that whole thing in the back the same way I did this, pull the control arms off, swap the bushings out, put those control arms with these bushings back on these knuckles, and then slap it up there. So that's what I'll probably do with the rear, and then the front, like I said, I'm gonna swap the control arms over. Also, I don't know if I noted this yet, but this car doesn't have a sway bar, which either somebody took it out before me or it was like that from the factory. But so yeah, I'm gonna pull it over the pit now. Pop these axles out. Hopefully those aren't seized in there, but I wouldn't doubt it with the way things are going. There's one more thing on the list. But yeah, so I'm gonna get the axles out and get the motor out, and then maybe that's it for today. I might start cutting the back up, but I don't know if I'm gonna feel like it by the time I am done messing with all this stuff. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. Alright, so I popped the axles out. I'm gonna need a new axle. Not only is the boot ripped on that one, the passenger side axle, but when I went to pop it out, this piece completely separated from this. It looks like there's supposed to be some sort of like clip that holds this on to the like spider gears or whatever in there, and it's not on there, so it'll just pull right out. Which, I mean, I guess it was working to get me home with the car, so I could probably drive it like that, but I don't want to risk it. I don't like messing around with stuff like that, so I'm going to need at least one new axle. This one seems to be fine, the one for the driver's side. So, yeah, figures I'm pretty sure this is like the drive axle, that's why it's so beefy. And that's the one that's blown. So, that's kind of sucky. That's a setback. I don't really have the money for that currently, so hopefully by the time I'm done with all the other crap, I'll be able to afford the $100 axle. But, I went ahead and got all the motor mounts, all the bolts off the motor mounts. I disconnected the shift linkage on the bottom. As I mentioned before, I already disconnected all the wiring and stuff like that, all the heater hoses. The last thing I'm going to do real quick is the gas lines, which I'm literally just going to cut through them because I'm not going to be using any of that, so I don't really care. And yeah, so I'm going to cut through those and then pull this thing out. So I'm going to set this up. I'm on my crappier camera so I don't waste as much battery life and file space or whatever. So should be good to go. I could already tell, I read, when I was reading about doing this, that everybody was saying that automatic transmission is way heavier, and I can definitely vouch for that. This motor seems way lighter with the auto tranny on it, or with the manual transmission than the auto transmission. So, hopefully the sucker just pops right out and I didn't forget none. And I left the radiator in, so I gotta try and be a little cautious of that. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me and messing it up. So I don't want to have to get a radiator too. Which, again, I might have to because it seems like, I don't think I mentioned this, but it seemed like I had a leak in the radiator. I think I saw a spot that was leaking. Not sure, but well, yeah, those gas lines I said I was going to cut. I didn't cut those. find good old tin snips. Yep, there goes all the fuel. Lovely, lovely. This is why I saved this for last. Boom. Get this clutch out of the way. Look at that, guys. She's going. Didn't forget, no. Almost a professional. Except for all that coolant. I forgot that. Not that I forgot it, but there is extra coolant running out of places. What that's coming out of? Heater core hoses in the back. No biggie. Just a little coolant. Oh, that's down. Come on. Oh, we're snagged. Ground wire was caught around something. So close. Almost clearing it. Oh. Got a wrecking ball. Okay. I think that'll clear. I love my garage. Alright, we're on the not great but slightly better camera now. Got this motor hanging up in the air. I swear this thing looks smaller than that motor. I don't know. Maybe it's just because there's no power steering makes it look that much smaller, but yeah, as you guys can see, this sucker's dirty. It's got oil everywhere, especially in the front. Look at this. That's bad. I guess it doesn't really translate as well on camera, but it's pretty dirty, guys. So I bought this at the dollar store the other day. This stuff works freaking awesome, so it's gonna be coming in handy cleaning off this transmission, because I definitely want to clean it down and get it looking nice. Yeah, I just found this bolt for a ground, and I don't know how well that was being grounded. Also, when the speedo doesn't work in this car, but it was barely even screwed down to this guy, so who knows. Yeah, so I guess it's time for me to, I'm gonna drop this motor down, set her aside for a little while. Oh yeah, I mentioned before how this one has a different pulley than my motor. My motor has a third section on here for a third belt, because normally, like on my motor, the one in the back is just for the alternator, or it might be the one that's in the middle is just for the alternator, and maybe the one in the back is the one that's for the power steering and the water pump. But either way, on my motor, the belt for the power steering is the one that runs the water pump. Now on this one, the alternator is the one that runs the water pump, and then there's just one extra thing. So all I'll probably pop both these off at, like, tomorrow or something, and like try and put them on a scale or something like that and see the actual difference. But I would imagine this pulley is a decent, like anywhere from maybe 1/4 pound to 3/4 of a pound lighter, because there's a lot of steel that's not there. Like, alright, this is mine, or this is the one off of the 5-speed non-power steering car, and then this is the one off of my car. You can see there's a rung back here, which, yeah, I was right, is just for the alternator in the back. The one in the middle is for the water pump with the power steering, and then the one all the way up front was for the AC. So I would imagine this pulley is a bit lighter weight, which is pretty awesome. Make the motor rev faster. Just without the power steering alone, it will be less strain on the crank, so it should rev faster and stuff like that. Yeah, oh yeah, this was the exhaust. I drove all the way home with just that. It was a little loud. A little bit, but it wasn't honestly even too bad. Way louder than with the turbo setup, which is, I find, baffling. And I can run an open dump out the bumper, and it's quieter than just having an open dump non-turbo. But yeah, so oh, look at this too. There's a bolt in the back for the motor mount that's not on. I hope that that's not just like stripped out, which it probably is. Oh yeah, I also noticed that which one? I don't know. There was some other bolt I had noticed that was very loose, but I don't know. I'm gonna set this sucker down, or I'll probably take off all the mounts that I'm gonna need to swap over to that motor and put those aside, and maybe pull the transmission off of this one. But I don't know. It's getting pretty late. It's 11:30, so I might just call it a night.